I'm about to tell you one of my favorite Palestinian fairy tales. It's called Gazelle, and that is the name of the female character who's one of the most badass I've ever come across. There are three brothers. The oldest is named Hassan, and they all go out hunting one day, and they see this beautiful gazelle, and they all want to catch her, but they make a ring to see which one she'll choose, and we find out that she's not just a gazelle, she is of the jinn. A good person always stands out among his folk, and so she recognizes that she likes Hassan, so she passes by his horse, and he gets to be the one to chase her. Well, he chases her all the way to the town where one of his sisters is married. He stops to say hi to his sister and talks to his brother-in-law and tells him how he's chasing Gazelle, and the brother-in-law is like, I have overcome 100 jinn, meaning he's brought these jinn under his control, but I am no match for Gazelle. He goes to the next town where another sister's married, has the same convo with her husband, and he's overcome 200 jinn, but no match for Gazelle. Third sister, third brother-in-law, he's overcome 300, and all three brother-in-laws get a hair from his head, and if he rubs them all together, he can use those army of jinn to help him in the future. He keeps following Gazelle, stays with an old woman who tells him, hey, Gazelle has many suitors, but her dad will only let her marry someone who can move the mountain that's in front of his castle. If you try and you fail, you get your head cut off, and Hassan's like, I'm gonna do it. She says, you're a nice young man, it'd be such a loss if you had your head cut off, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. So he rubs the hairs, and 600 jinn come to his aid to help move this mountain. But my favorite part is that Gazelle loves him too and wants him to win, so she also comes to his aid. So he gets to marry Gazelle, but it's not over because there's another jinn who also wants Gazelle and has wanted her a long time, and she does not want him and physically fights him all the time. Once the mountain is gone, she somehow has the strength to overtake him, and she puts him in a room and hangs him up by his hair. She doesn't mention it to Hassan because, I don't know, it's her deal. One day she just says, I'm gonna go roam for a while, because she feels like roaming. Go in every room, but don't go in this one room. But of course he doesn't listen. He goes in the room where the dude's hanging by his hair, and the dude's like, please help me. Hassan frees him, the mountain returns to where it had been, and then Gazelle comes in and she's like, why do you give me so much trouble, Hassan? Ashamed, Hassan dragged himself below while Gazelle went to go deal with the man she's been bickering with. And she's so badass. She says, this time I won't be satisfied just to let you dangle. And he's like, well, you can't do anything to me. My soul is lodged in the knee bone of a certain tiger who lives in such and such a country, and you're never gonna get it. Well, when Hassan hears this, he immediately sets off to find this tiger. On the way, he gains some magical items in a way people often do in folklore, by tricking people. There are these three brothers arguing about a club that has the power of 40 men, a magic carpet, and a cap of invisibility. And they're like, we can't decide which of us gets these things. Hey, you stranger, to Hassan, how should we decide? He's like, I'm gonna throw a stick really far and you guys run for it, and who gets the stick first gets everything. And so they give him the stuff, he throws the stick, and then he just disappears and takes their stuff. He gets on the magic carpet and he's like, go where this tiger is, and the carpet takes him there. Interestingly, there is no magic carpet in the actual story of Aladdin that's in 1001 Nights, but it is all over Middle Eastern folklore. He goes to the town where the tiger is, and he stays with this old woman, and she gives him yogurt, and he's like, why is this yogurt red? She says, oh, it's red because the sheep that gave the milk for it can only eat dirt because this town is being terrorized by a giant scorpion, a giant viper, and a tiger, and they won't let our sheep graze in the grass. So with his awesome new club, Hassan kills the viper, kills the scorpion, and everyone in town is like, great, you've opened up a lot of grazing territory, you don't need to mess with the tiger. And he's like, oh no, I'm going for the tiger. Well, he fights the tiger, and they're evenly matched. They fight for days, and neither of them is gonna win. And finally, the tiger's like, you're never gonna beat me, I'm gonna eat your body. Hassan says, nah, I'm going to eat a meal of flatbread rubbed with sugar, drink a flask of wine, all on a mat spread on your belly. The old woman he's staying with hears him, brings him those things, and then he's able to defeat the tiger, and he does. He sits on his dead body and eats those things. Then he cracks the knee bone open, and there is a man's soul inside a snuff box inside the bone. He's about to go home, but then he's got to help this village one more time because apparently there's a demon that requires the sacrifice of a virgin girl every year, otherwise it won't make their spring flow. It's time for the yearly sacrifice, so they dress up this girl, put her in a room, she waits for the demon, but Hassan goes in there with her, and when the demon comes in, he says, what are you doing here? He's like, if you want this girl, stretch out your neck and take her. And he does, and then Hassan cuts his head off, and he dies. He flies back home on the magic carpet. On the way, he can't help but look in the snuff box, and a bird comes out. Turns out his soul is the bird, but he grabs the bird, he goes back, he shows up, and Gazelle and this other jinn are still fighting. Hassan pulls out the bird and starts squeezing it, and the other guy goes, "Oh, by Allah, I'm in a tight spot." Then Hassan treats the bird like an absolute voodoo doll. He tears the foot apart and the man's foot comes off. He tears the wing off and an arm comes off, and then he just tears him to pieces and there's nothing left of the man at all. And as you might imagine, he and Gazelle live happily ever after because they're the best freaking partners, like a really solid equal team. Which is beautiful and amazing and happens more in fairy tales and folklore than you would think, because so many of the popular ones are about damsels in distress and really problematic heroes, but sometimes they're just great. I love it so much.